Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming, and I'm not sure whether this is going to be a terrible talk or whether I'm just doing kind of an opinion video, but I wanted to get something up today before it comes out next week. So all the buzz around Monster Hunter Rise has been positive on the internet for the most part. Everybody seems to be really liking it. All the big influencers are anyway, and I have a difference of opinion on that, so I'm going to do a little video. You're just going to be watching footage of me playing Monster Hunter World, but, it's more about the opinion. Now, I do have a couple of disclaimers before we get too far into this. Number one, the first and last Monster Hunter game I have played is Monster Hunter World. And I know that is going to, right there, a lot of Monster Hunter diehards are probably going to push away anything I have to say, and that's fair. I got started in Monster Hunter World, but on the flip side, I've put over 500 hours in Monster Hunter World easily, and I loved that game. I would rank it my top 5, probably my top number 1 game of all time. I've just never played a game so much and continue to get so much fun from it as that one. And I truly love Monster Hunter World. And that's why I was very excited about Monster Hunter Rise's announcement and it being put on Switch. But there are a couple of things, like after playing the demo, after watching the footage, there are things that I don't like about this. So really, this opinion piece is going to be on how I'm not going to buy Monster Hunter Rise, at least not at launch. And I'm going to give you guys a counterpoint on why I don't think it's that good. And I don't love to do negative things, so just one more time, not really a disclaimer, just if you like Monster Hunter Rise or you're interested in it or it looks like something that's fun for you or you've played the demo and it's interesting, get it, buy it, play it, have fun. My opinion should not necessarily inform your decision. It should just give you more information to make that decision. That's all. And I feel like everybody on the internet is going crazy for this game, at least in the Monster Hunter world. And it's rare that I disagree with people like Eric's, but I disagree with him on this game. I don't think it's that good, and I think they take away a lot of the fun and I don't know, a lot of the cool things about Monster Hunter World. And let me give you a breakdown. So I'm going to start with a kind of a boring reason as to why I'm not going to get it, and that is they announced the PC release for next year. Look, Switch is great. I like Switch. I like its portability. I like being able to play it wherever, but there are things about playing on Switch. It's not my preferred way to play a game. And a game like Monster Hunter, I don't necessarily need that to be portable. What I want it to be is very good and receptive and, easy to control. And the Switch controls aren't the best. I don't hate them as much as some other people on this channel, but if I have the choice between the PC version or the Switch version, I'm going to pick the PC version, and I'm going to really delve into it, and I'm going to really look at the beauty, and the game's going to look better on PC too. So I kind of feel like they kind of cut their feet off a little bit with the PC announce. Not going to say that there isn't going to be a ton of people buying this on Switch, and a ton of people are. But really, that's not the reason I'm going to avoid Monster Hunter Rise. The reasons that I'm going to avoid Monster Hunter Rise are the things that they have removed from that game or taken out. Now, in fairness to Monster Hunter Rise, that game was developed side by side with Monster Hunter World, even though Monster Hunter World came out 3 years ago. I'm sure they took some cues because they were probably only halfway through development on Monster Hunter Rise when Monster Hunter World came out. But in the overall, it was a completely different team. So even though there are a lot of similarities, it's a different group of people behind that game. That being said, they took out one of the best parts about Monster Hunter World, and that is the world. So something that Monster Hunter World, and I believe Monster Hunter World, brought this to the series, was you could kind of go into this world, walk around this world, and watch the monsters interact with the world, instead of the monsters just kind of being in a spot, then moving to another spot, then being in a spot. I know that the previous games were a lot more focused on just going to the monster and fighting the monster, but Monster Hunter World really brought you this living, breathing ecosystem that you got to dive into and enjoy. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, scout flies. Well, I liked the scout flies, but not everybody did. A lot of people didn't like the hand holding that the game made. However, I still liked all the features that came with the scout flies. Even if we didn't have the scout flies, highlighting all the prints and the tracks and all that, I still want those in it, because one of the coolest things I've ever done in that game is just go on an expedition and just track a monster. Not even hunt it, not even kill it, just track it to find out what it does, which monsters it likes to fight, what areas it likes to go to, where it scratches its foot, where it feeds on other animals, smaller animals, like stuff like that. The world of Monster Hunter World just did such a good job of making you feel like you were in an environment that was its own thing. When I left that environment to go back to base, I kind of felt like that environment was somewhere just still existing. That's how good the world is. That's how good the world building was in Monster Hunter World. Now you look at something like Monster Hunter Rise, all the endemic life has been turned into these weird, like, bonus up status effects. I don't want to pick up a turtle and suddenly gain an attack bonus, or grab a firefly out of the sky and gain a bonus to defense. That's weird and silly. It makes it feel arcadey, and I don't like that. I like the being involved in the world. I like that the endemic life you can catch and keep and like stuff like that. Not just like I ran past this specific firefly and now I have flame powers. Like that's kind of dumb. I don't like that. And it also takes you out of the moment. It makes you feel more like you're playing some sort of weird arcade beat 'em up thing, which is fine, but I just don't like that out of my Monster Hunter. The other thing is, in the demo, I rigorously tracked the monsters. Now, I'm sure there's going to be more detail put forth in the actual release, but I am positive that we're not going to see scout flies. We're not going to see the research point tracking things that we got from Monster Hunter World, and that's a real bummer. I'll eat my words if it is there on release, but I don't think it's going to be. And it's a real bummer. Like, I followed a monster around and I didn't get anything from it. The monsters literally just would go from point A to point B, stand there for a while, look around, and then go to the next part. And that's unfortunate. Like, some of the best moments of Monster Hunter World is watching the world itself interact with itself. And it just doesn't happen here. It doesn't happen in this game, and that's kind of a bummer. My next one is a little bit more technical, and it's the monster riding. Look, I know I have watched everybody online. Monster riding is so cool. Controlling the monster is so cool. The way it works is so cool. Like, it's not cool. It's not cool. The cool thing about Monster Hunter World was that you were this human who obviously had some abilities more than a normal human, but still this person who had these weapons available to him. And then you had to craft those weapons, decide what you were going to take, and go out into the world and bring down a beast that is much larger than you. The monster mounting in Monster Hunter World symbolized that. It actually gave you that feel. You had to fight to get on the monster's back, and then once you were there, you had to just keep stabbing it with a knife until you got that big shot. The monster would do everything it could to try and buck you off, run into the wall, do kind of bucking, and you had to ride it like a rodeo to try and get that good shot in to bring it down to then do a ton of damage. I mean, I know the claw was added, which allowed you to just zoom to it, but the claw zooming to it wasn't like a riding or a mounting ability. You would just get a couple of good shots in real quick, and then you'd have a weakened area. Or, of course, there was the whole moving it into the wall and throwing it into the wall, but you still had to work for that. You had to actually had to catch your claw to their head, which is not an easy task, and you had to position them to hit a wall, and I can't tell you how many times I've missed that wall. Whereas the riding in Rise, it doesn't have any of these things. There's no building your thing to try and get that ride, because basically what happens is once you've done enough sustained damage to a monster, you just jump on top. And then once you're on top, you literally get to control the monster. You can run him into the wall just as easy as pie to get those down shots, or you can actually make him fight the other monster. Look, I love watching monsters fight, and I like the idea of you controlling a monster to fight another monster, but it just the way it goes down is it takes all the fight out of it. And that's what I liked about Monster Hunter, was this one person through force of will and intelligence overcoming something so much greater than them to get better, to then go out and do it again on an even greater challenge. You don't have that here. I didn't feel any sense of achievement when I got the mount. I didn't feel any sense of achievement when I just pulled the monster into a wall whenever I did. Whereas every time you got the monster down in Monster Hunter World, you felt that sense of achievement. Even when they made it easier with the Clutch Claw, it was still a huge sense of achievement because you had to aim them, you had to be in the right place, you had to get the timing. So, I don't know, it just takes me completely out of it. I mean, completely apart from the fact that probably one of my favorite weapons is the Insect Glaive, and it's basically nothing in this new game because it was all about mounting, and every weapon mounts now. So that's kind of irritating, and I know what you're going to say. Well, you're an Insect Glaive player. Of course you're going to be unhappy, but on a whole, everybody should be unhappy. It's basically taken a more nuanced feature of an original game and made it, anybody can do it if they hit them enough. It's very annoying, and I don't like it. I mean, to kind of snowball onto that, the wire ball bugs in general and all the wall running. Look, I like the idea of climbing everything and it being a little bit more like a Breath of the Wild thing, but there's nothing to really find here. I mean, there's nothing really to explore and to find. I mean, there could be more. I could eat my words when the actual release comes out, of course. But from the demo, the only thing to find is more endemic life, which just gives you weird powers for no reason. So why should I bother climbing that mountain? Why should I do anything other than jump on my Palamute the minute I get into a match and go directly to the monster and start killing it? And nobody's been able to give me a more concrete answer as to why. So with that, this game just feels like so redundant. It feels like more of the grind and less of the content of Monster Hunter World, and I'm not in for that. So I'll definitely play it eventually. I'm definitely going to get it eventually, but you won't see a review for it on this channel because I'm not going to spend $60 on it. And again, I do want to say this was a more negative feature that we do, and I don't like to do negative features. I don't like to get down on things, but I feel like somebody needs to represent the people who aren't specifically happy about this game, and there's got to be other ones, because I have not seen one of the channels that I follow, or even one of the channels that I haven't followed, really bash Monster Hunter Rise, or point out any of these things that I've just said. So I feel like somebody needs to do a counterpoint on the internet, and I guess that somebody's got to be me. So yeah, I hope this guys helped you guys, and again, if you want to play the game, play the game. Don't let it stop you. I just want to point out the negative things that I feel like they kind of missed the ball on. Again, I've only played the demo. I haven't played the full release, and a lot of these things could even be fixed in the full release. But if they're not, I mean, that's a miss, in my opinion, and I will go ahead and wait for Monster Hunter World 2. All right, as usual, guys, you can reach us on Facebook at OldManGamingDH, on Twitter at OldManGaming9. You can join our Discord. The link's in the description below, and you can influence all of our shows from there. And, yeah, go ahead in the comments. Tell me I'm wrong. I don't mind. I just like to hear from you guys and have an open dialogue. So, see you guys next time. As long as you guys keep watching and listening, we'll keep making them.